Hello Booktubians, I am Scribe and today I'm going to be talking about Gotrek and Felix, Book 1, Troll Slayer. This is actually the omnibus that has the first 3 books in it, Troll Slayer, Skaven Slayer, and Demon Slayer. You're going to start to realize that every book is called something Slayer, but that's sort of the charm of this book. This is a spoiler-free review, but this is not the kind of book that really has big spoilers. I mean, there are, and I've unfortunately been spoiled some later on, but this is the kind of book that is just action-packed fun. It's dark, but like almost like satirical dark sometimes. If you've read Joe Abercrombie, like The First Law, it almost has like that flavor to it, but instead of being a grounded fantasy, it is Warhammer. This thing is furthest from groundedness, but I think Gotrek and Felix specifically, the characters that they are, specifically Felix, is what really grounds the narrative of this story and makes it something more than just a, Emperor Karl Franz charges into a horde of orcs and kills them all. It turns it from that into like the opening of Saving Private Ryan, where you get like this normal person in a very, very not normal situation. And, why you should read this is basically an adrenaline rush. If you want an introduction into the Warhammer universe, you should definitely read this as well. Because it introduces just enough to get you hooked. It introduces a character that is somewhat relatable, Felix that is, and he is paired up with Gotrek, and Gotrek is a blast. The whole premise of the story is that Gotrek is a slayer, which is why all the books are called something Slayer. Typically, the name of the book is what they're going to be slaying, but that's not the only thing that they're going to be slaying. In fact, the first book specifically is a collection of short stories, and then onward it becomes more of a tight plot per book. They go by really fast, and they are very simply written. It's not Tolkien or Robert Jordan where you're going to be given lengthy descriptions about things. This is more akin to, again, I would honestly say Joe Abercrombie. I like Joe Abercrombie's writing better, but the reason I compare this to that is because it's almost satire. It's almost dark comedy, or black comedy, if you will. And I would say that if you like that in Joe Abercrombie, but you wanted a bit more explosive fight scenes, let's just say, something a bit more over the top, like steam tanks maybe, then this is for you, because the setting is all about that. Just take fantasy and then just give it cocaine. And it is always just such a joy seeing Felix's response and reactions to everything. So what is the general story about? As I said, Gotrek is a slayer, and that means in the world of Gotrek and Felix, or rather Warhammer, a slayer is a dwarf that has done some great dishonor in the past, and he has only one thing left to do: die an honorable death. So that could be dying against an army of orcs and hopeless odds. It is dying against a demon. It could be anything, as long as it is almost like a Viking-esque death, blade in hand and honor filling you up, and as well as death. And so we don't know what Gotrek necessarily did. We're given hints throughout the series. Gotrek is clearly very ashamed of it, and Gotrek is a very simple person. He's a dwarf. He likes drinking. He likes fighting. He likes... And this comes off as very one-dimensional, but I think what makes it work is Felix, because Felix is a man of the Empire who did some very stupid things in college. It's almost so like pedestrian what his situation is. It almost feels like it exists in our world, not in this over-the-top fantasy world. He literally accidentally killed somebody in a duel. It's like getting into a drunk fist fight and then like knocking the guy out so hard he dies and you get sent to jail. Horrifying story, but in the world of Warhammer, it almost feels like petty. Like what? But I think that's what kind of makes it so cool. It's like you get Gotrek and Felix, these two very different characters, and the story essentially is they meet, and Gotrek kind of saves his life almost by accident, it seems, and they make a drunken oath in a bar that Felix will chronicle all of Gotrek's exploits and ensure that his legacy as a slayer is kept. so that way when he dies an honorable death, it is written and his people will be proud of him for what he has done. So really the story is about, every story is Gotrek trying to pick a fight with some big bad so it can kill him, and Felix trying to not die because this is way over his head. And if you like progression fantasy, if you like the main character kind of leveling up, it's not actually like a hard level up, it's not defined, but it's like over the time, you can tell that Felix is starting to toughen up, he's starting to harden, he's starting to get used to this life. I think that progression is like really, really satisfying, specifically for Felix. And likewise, their friendship, their companionship, as Gotrek starts to lower his kind of wall, his dwarven stoicness, and he starts to even care about Felix. Because, yeah, trust me, it starts rock bottom. Gotrek is like, he calls him Manling for most of the series, as far as I'm aware. I haven't finished it, but he's just like, Manling, we must go kill goblins. He doesn't even call him Felix, because he's so detached from everything. Until he gets drunk and then he starts punching other dwarves. But the point is that that's the kind of story this is. This is a action romp with these two very different characters with very, very literally opposite goals that take them on the same path of danger, adventure, and a lot of violence. So if you like that, if you want like a Conan-esque monster of the week almost, I say almost because there's more going on than just that, especially if you're already aware of the Warhammer kind of universe and any of their plot lines. This is definitely for you. This is a chill read, a very chill read, because as much as it is violent and everything, I would not say it is as dark as like some other stories, like not that A Song of Ice and Fire is an action story, but gets dark. But this is more of the Joe Abercrombie flavor of dark, where you can kind of almost laugh at how over the top it is, but in the Warhammer setting. So I really do hope you pick this up, because it's not exactly, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a hidden gem, because it is at the end of the day Warhammer, but at the same time a lot of people don't read these kind of books. So it's a relatively dying genre, I want to say, but I think this one does it one of the best. So that's my sort of why you should read Gotrek and Felix, and why you should definitely not dishonor your people and not read this, because otherwise you might have to shave your head into this beautiful mohawk and go die in battle. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and pick it up. Happy reading.